Hi everybody, we are here today in Berkeley outside of Golden Gate Field horse racing track. You can't really see everyone very well because I have this big umbrella, but that's because it's raining right now. Off and on, it was just pouring on us that it stopped a bit. And they are racing horses right now in this rain, in this weather at Golden Gate Field. You can hear the announcer discussing the races that are coming up. And they don't get a break if it's cold. They don't get a break if they're sick. They don't get a break if they're tired. They're forced to run until the point where they are killed.
Has died at Golden Gate Field. A horse died this past week, and another horse might have died just yesterday. They said that this horse was banned off, but we know what that really usually means. That usually means that they were murdered. Murdered because they are no longer profitable to this racetrack. Once a horse is injured while racing, they are killed instead of being given the veterinary care that they deserve. That is how they repay these horses for all of the money they make on their backs. And I want you to imagine being a horse inside of this racetrack, being forced day after day to run until you literally collapse and sustain deadly injuries. Being forced to run in dangerous conditions, dangerous heat in the summer, and dangerous cold and rain in the winter. There are horses racing today. We all just experienced pouring down rain and wind. They're forced to run, and they're forced to endure this. And they do not get a choice. We get a choice to stand here today, to stand in the rain, to stand in the wind. They are not given a choice. There is no consent if you are a horse in Golden Gate Fields. It is time to shut down this violent place. There is far too much apathy in our world. We should all be outraged by the abuse and violence that's happening right here, right behind us in our own backyards. We need to see their suffering. We cannot ignore it any longer. Just imagine for 1 second, that you are a horse inside of Golden Gate Fields. And if you were a horse inside of Golden Gate Fields, I think you would want people to be standing here in the rain and in the wind, speaking up for you and demanding to shut down Golden Gate Fields. Because there's no excuse
for animal abuse.
There's never an excuse
for animal abuse.
Golden Gate Fields
Zoe
has
Rosenberg,
no excuse
for animal abuse.
We are here in Berkeley at
It's
Golden Gate
violent.
Field horse racing track. We're at a very busy and dangerous
violent.
intersection, so I want to be careful here walking down and showing you everyone.
violent.
But we have this large shut down Golden Gate Fields banner that everyone who's passing by, entering or exiting the freeway here is seeing, as well as people holding shut down Golden Gate Field signs. And Chris, can you show me your tombstone just for the live stream? So we have these tombstone shaped signs that say rest in peace. And Azaday is the new name that we gave to a horse who was killed at Golden Gate Fields on February 22nd.
Not ours!
We protest here at Golden Gate Fields every time a horse dies. And this horse was named Big Laugh by the industry, but we give them new names to honor them as individuals instead of property. So they've been renamed Azaday, which is a Persian name that means free, which is what they deserve to be. Thanks, Chris.
It's violent.
I'm gonna walk back down.
Shut them down!
Just like us!
Hit people with my umbrella here. Thank you, Lindsay, for
Just
sharing.
like
You
us!
If other people who are watching
Just
can share this
like
live stream,
us!
that would be great. We're out here every time.
Not
we
ours!
Golden Gate Fields, rain or shine.
Not
And
ours!
It's really helpful to build the pressure
Not
on
ours!
this industry, which obviously extends far beyond this.
Profits
racetrack.
for a
Racetracks all
corporation!
over the U.S. that are owned by the same
It's
family,
violent!
the same billionaire family, the Stronach family. that
It's
owns Golden Gate
violent!
Fields. So you can help us put pressure on them.
It's
wherever you are,
violent!
whether you're in the Bay Area or not.
It's violent! Shut them
And help us
down!
reach even more people to run. And so what's wrong with racing them,
Just like
gambling
us.
on who wins these races? But horses want to run when they want to run. They want to run as far as they want to run, and they want to stop when they're tired, or when they're sick,
Torture, death,
or
and
when they just want to stop and bask in the sun, or if it's raining, if they're scared about
Torture, death,
slipping,
and
then they don't want to run. But in this industry, they never get that chance. They don't
because
have
it's
any
not
consent.
entertainment.
It's violence.
It's not a sport.
It's violence.
It's not family fun.
It's
Here's
violence.
Katia, who is leading
Golden
Chance Young.
Gate
We're going to
Field.
have more speak outs here at our protest.
Golden Gate Field.
Stay tuned and please share.
Golden Gate Field.
And if you want to sign the
Horses
petition as
feel
well, we have a
pain.
petition calling on the cities of Berkeley and
Horses
Albany
want to be
because
free.
this horse racing track is huge.
Horses
and it
deserve
spans
respect.
property in both Berkeley and Albany. So we're calling on the
Horses can
cities of both
suffer.
Berkeley and Albany to shut down Golden Gate Fields. And the petition to sign that, if you haven't already, is dxc.ir/shutdowngg. GGF just is the acronym there for Golden Gate Fields.
Profits for a corporation. It's violence. It's violence.
Carla's over here on a megaphone doing the callback.
It's violence.
Which is a pro tip for your action.
Shut them down.
2 megaphones. And Curtis is giving out.
Shut
Here's
them
somebody
down.
to take one, which is great. If you have 2 megaphones, then you can have someone leading chants on 1 megaphone. And you can have someone doing the responses with the rest of the group on a megaphone as well to help make them even louder. Or even you could have everybody on a megaphone if you have 10 megaphones or more.
Just like us.
But even if you only have 2, then having
Not
someone
ours.
back responses is helpful.
Not ours.
You know, I remember as a child being so in love with horses. I think many children have the same dream. I watched Black Beauty over and over, and I imagined myself on the beach, gaining the trust of a strong, beautiful being, and becoming friends with them, so that we together would ride off into the sunset. Unfortunately, nothing could be farther from the truth of what it means to love horses. I did get to fulfill my dream of riding horses, doing show jumping and dressage. The horse that I loved so much, their name was Socrates. I even had a stuffed animal horse that I named Socrates that I slept with every night. I remember training with Socrates, and one day he was so wonderful, even though I was kicking him and forcing him to do what I wanted him to do. But one day he bucked and he threw me off of him, and it knocked the wind right out of me. I was definitely startled, but the only thing that was said was that I needed to get right back on top of him and continue riding so that I would not be scared. Absolutely nothing was said about Socrates as an individual. I was never taught to think of the horse that I loved so much as someone who deserved to be free, not kept in a tiny stall for most of their life, only to be brought out for me to get on their back, put a metal bit in their mouth, and kick them to do what I wanted. Yet this is what I and so many other children are taught, that these amazing, beautiful beings are here for us, that they should be used for our needs. This is a travesty, and what happens here at Golden Gate Fields is even worse. This land is stolen native land of the Ohlone Nations. Beautiful land being used to abuse and exploit both non-human and human animals alike. Nothing good happens here. Horses are kept in what amounts to solitary confinement, which we know from from scientific studies that solitary confinement does real harm to the body and brain. Inmates who are placed in solitary for just a few days experience symptoms of acute anxiety and depression. Isolated inmates often report symptoms similar to those of hypertension, such as chronic headaches, trembling, sweaty palms, extreme dizziness, and heart palpitations, Mary Murphy Corcoran writes for the New York University's Applied Psychologically Opus. Inmates in isolation may also have difficulty sleeping, and some may experience insomnia. Consequently, inmates report feelings of chronic lethargy. Over the years, this stress exacts its long-term toll. And this is no different for horses, who are incredibly intelligent beings. Many of the over 1,000 horses kept on site here at Golden Gate Fields may be kept in their stalls for upwards of 23 hours a day, only allowed out for minimal exercise or to be forcibly raced. There are workers who live on site trying to care for these animals, but it is an almost impossible task to take care of all of these animals. Neither the horses nor the workers end up well cared for. It is cruel to break the spirit of these horses. Some were artificially bred into existence. Others are captured and broken in order for humans to whip, kick, and make them perform for profit. If you look into the horse racing industry even a little bit, you will find nothing but cruelty. Everyone is losing, many with their lives. Between 1,000 and 2,000 horses are killed racing and training across the United States each year. Hundreds more die in their stalls. Thousands more are slaughtered after they are no longer monetarily useful, says John Holland, president of the Equine Welfare Alliance. Enough is enough with this. This land could be a sanctuary where horses could run free as fast as they want for as long as they want, untouched by human greed. I call for Golden Gate Fields to shut down, give the land back to the native peoples, and employ them to actually care for the animals as they live free and in harmony with us. Because it's not entertainment.
It's violence.
It's not entertainment.
It's violence.
Golden Gate Fields.
I'm
Golden
walk
Gate
over here
Fields.
away from the audio for a second and
Because it's
tell you a
their
little bit
body.
about what's happening in my work here today.
Their lives.
Not
By
ours.
these
Their
activists here.
freedom.
Not ours.
Golden Gate
So today we are out here because we are protesting at Golden Gate Fields horse racing track, which is in the cities of Berkeley and Albany right here behind us. It's a massive facility. They have obviously the racetrack where the races happen, including right now. There are races happening right now. And they have stables where the horses are kept, hundreds and hundreds of horses who are kept here to be forced to race, whether they want to or not, whether it's raining, whether it's overly hot, whatever the conditions are, they are forced to run. This is a facility that is owned by the Stronach family, which is a billionaire family who lives in Canada, not in California where we all are, but not even in the United States. And they have horse racing tracks all over the United States. They are making so much money off of the backs of these animals, off of their exploitation and their death, because the horse death toll continues to rise here at Golden Gate Fields.
It's violence.
Just yesterday, another horse was banned off. Banned off is what they put in quotes in their records, instead of saying the truth of what happens to them, which essentially being banned off means that they were taken to be euthanized, another industry way to say killed, right? They just don't want to come out and say how many horses are killed here, but that is in fact what's happening. They say that they're banned off, and that happened just yesterday. Another horse was banned off. But Kitty's speaking now, so I'm going to go.
We have They confined them. They isolated them. They abused them. They forced them to race, and then they killed them. Queen, the horse that was killed yesterday, won first place. She did exactly what they wanted. She was just a baby, and they raced her, and she won, and then they killed her. I don't know what these animals are supposed to do, but I know what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to hurt other living beings, and we're not supposed to hurt each other. We're supposed to be kind and compassionate animals. We're supposed to help other animals. We're supposed to protect the earth. We're supposed to care about our fellow human beings. I don't even have the words to describe how unjust and cruel and heinous the horse racing industry is among many other industries. But I just ask the Stronach family if they're proud of themselves, if they're proud of what they're doing. And I know that someday soon that this facility is going to shut down, and I hope that something beautiful takes its place. And I invite the family, every day you have an opportunity. You can either change things now, do the right thing, stop abusing and exploiting animals, and you can make that transition now, or you can let us do it. Because we're going to keep fighting, we're going to be out here, we'll see you in court, and we're going to fight every single day until this land is something beautiful and not something violent and bloody and deadly. It's not entertainment.
It's violence.
Horses feel pain.
Just like us.
Horses suffer.
Just like us.
Horses
That was
want
Kitty
to be
Jones, a
free.
longtime DNC organizer, speaking about the recent deaths here.
Just
and
like
away,
us.
from the noise again to tell you a little bit more about
Just
that.
like us.
So, as Kitty mentioned, a horse
Just like
who
us.
she referred to as Queen most likely
like
was
us.
killed at Golden Gate Field yesterday. So far, they have published online.
like us.
Briefly, it said that she was euthanized, but then it was changed, their report, to say that she was just, quote, manned off. And so we don't know if she was killed and they just didn't want the word to be out there, and so they changed it to a less sad and intense euphemism to a lesser one that's just banned off, and we don't know where she went. Maybe she went to a sanctuary, which obviously is not the case. Or possibly that was actually inaccurate and Queen has not yet been killed. But when horses are banned off, what I can tell you is that they are almost certainly going to be killed, because horses who have been injured can't be raced. And if they can't be raced, they can't make money for this industry. And if they can't make money for this industry, they have no value to this industry. They don't value these horses intrinsically. They don't see them as individuals. And in fact, she was actually named Ultimate Diva, I believe it was her industry name. But she's been renamed by DXC activists as Queen, a much kinder way of saying that she had a lot of spirit to her without calling her a derogatory name. The other horse who died here just recently was called Big Laugh by the industry, which I think shows you that everything's a big laugh to this industry. They don't take it seriously when horses die. They don't care that these horses are consistently dying. They don't care that these horses are confined in what amounts to a factory farm, only coming out when they're being forced to run. That's no kind of life for a smart, social, wonderful, sentient being who has, like Kitty said, only one shot at life, just like the rest of us. And Golden Gate Field is reducing that life to a machine, to just being a profit-making machine for a billionaire family in Canada. No offense to Canada, but just literally, you're not even here, and you're reaping so much money off the backs of these horses and these employees who are forced to work here in this factory farm, cleaning up after these horses, feeding these horses who are confined inside day in and day out, and racing these horses, which a lot of people think that horse racers love their horses and that they get into this industry out of a love for horses, which may be true, but that love is twisted, it is distorted, it is turned into something very ugly. Maybe they don't see that coming when they get into the industry, but it's what happens when you're forced to race these animals, whether it's raining, whether they're overheating, whether they've been injured and they've just had that injury masked, the pain masked with drugs. When you're racing animals for money instead of letting them choose when to run, letting them choose when to rest, letting them choose where to go and wander and to be free rather than confined and only coming out when they're forced to be raced, then you don't really love those animals. At least you're not showing them love. And so we're out here protesting. We are renaming the horses. We've renamed Big Laugh Azadeh, a Persian name which means free, like she deserved to be, and we've renamed Ultimate Diva Queen, a much more dignified name. And we will continue to be out here protesting every time Golden Gate Fields kills another horse. We will give them a new name, which is a tradition we started doing this year, because they all deserve to be treated as individuals. Golden Gate Fields doesn't give them that chance, but at least, the least that we can do as concerned residents, as people who see this atrocity in our backyard and want to do something, the least we can do is come out here, protest, and say their names and honor their names and give them a little bit of a funeral in that way, a little bit of recognition, which they would never get from the industry. It was literally a footnote in the report about yesterday's races, about the March 3rd races, when Queen, who the industry called Ultimate Diva, won her race. That, you know, they were proudly saying that she came in first place, and then it was just in a footnote that she was banned off. So, you know, it's cold and windy out here, but they don't want the public to know what's happening to these horses. They just want to see the money, the wins, the victory. They just want people to gamble. They want to exploit humans as well to make money off of them, because that's how this gambling industry works. Everyone involved is exploited except the very people at the top who are running the show, like Frank Stronach, who's a billionaire. And it's a horrible system, and we could do so much better with this land. We could turn it into permanent supportive housing, which is something we're in desperate need of here in the Bay Area. We could turn it into a public park. We could turn it into a sanctuary for horses, like Carla said, giving the land back to the Native Ohlone people for them to decide what to do with it. All of these ideas are great ideas, and yet instead we have a factory farm in Berkeley and Albany, two very progressive cities, where the public is against this violence, is against animal gambling, animal racing, animal killing, which is what it boils down to. And we are calling on our city council members in Berkeley and Albany, who have in many cases condemned this racetrack. Berkeley even called for an investigation into the high death count at Golden Gate Fields. And yet, despite them hating this racetrack too, and speaking out and supporting its closure, they haven't taken any active steps to shut the place down. They don't see it as being within their power. Politicians are just humans. They're lazy. When things are hard, they don't want to do them. And so we need to put enough pressure on to make it the easier choice to listen to us, to listen to their constituents, and to help these horses. So you can sign our petition at dxe.io/shutdownggf. And I will walk back and show you Rocky's doing outreach over there. Curtis is as well.
Another way to put animals' neck under our foot. We force them to carry human riders on their backs and sprint as fast as they can. This causes great harm to their hearts, their lungs, their spines, and their legs. But horses love to run, right? Aren't we just giving them what they want? Please don't get me wrong. Horses naturally love to run. Traditionally, they roam free in communities that travel together over long distances. Mothers run with daughters, fathers with sons. Their desire to have their hearts beat faster, their hooves gallop in rhythm, and the wind flow through their mane is unquestionable. But why do we have to bridle their natural instincts so that we can gamble away our paychecks, fatten the coffers of the rich, and put these majestic animals at great risk of harm and even death? The system, places like Golden Gate Fields, are prevalent across this country and parts of the world. Their only objective is to commodify horses and create an industry where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. If a horse breaks their leg in a fall and therefore sentenced to death, oh well, after all, why would their masters bring them back to health when they could just get another one? Have you ever wondered what happens to horses that aren't fast enough to earn their masters enough profit? There is another world possible. A better world where we tear down these unjust systems and give non-human animals the respect that they deserve. And who are we? We come from all walks of life. Teachers and students, nurses and caregivers, architects and builders, tattoo artists and musicians. We are no different than you, except that we have made the innate connection that all animals want to live happy, safe, and free. And we hope that you find that connection because we are all born with it. We just have to be conditioned. We have just been conditioned to forget. Why are we here? Why spend the time speaking up for horses and other non-human animals? I'll tell you, it's not because they are voiceless, as all of us know here. They have their own languages, even ways to communicate with us. Most of us are just unwilling to listen. Giving the respect that horses and all other sentient beings deserve is all that we ask. That is why we are all out here, to let kind and caring people know about the injustices inflicted upon non-human animals. Because once you know better, you do better. It's not entertainment.
It's violence.
It's not entertainment.
It's violence.
Animals want to live.
Just like us.
Horses want to live.
Just like us.
Horses have
So
families.
that's Conrad, longtime activist with DXC, leading chants, and answering some common questions that people have. Maybe some of you on the live stream had questions about that, and why we're out here speaking up for horses. And, yeah, the speakouts today have been great facts and information that I hope you all are learning from. I've learned some things as well.
It's not entertainment.
And if you haven't already, I hope you'll share this live stream so that maybe you already knew the information, but that way you can help us reach more people with this message and expose people who maybe aren't familiar with horse racing, with what happens in this industry, to a little bit more information about what goes on behind closed doors and how horses are regularly killed here.
Just like us.
Queen,
Horses feel love.
Just like us.
Horses have
Emma, again,
families.
these are new names that we gave to these
Horses
horses.
deserve respect.
And
Just like us.
Horses can suffer.
Just like us.
Bare bodies, not ours. Bare lives, not ours. Bare families, not ours. Torture, death, and exploitation. Profits for a corporation. Torture, death, and exploitation.
Profits for a corporation.
It's not entertainment.
It's violence.
It's not a sport.
It's violence.
It's not family fun.
It's violence.
What do we want?
Animal liberation.
Do we want it?
Now.
Are we going to fight for it?
Yes.
Are we going to get it?
Yes.
Is your arm getting tired holding that up so high? Is your arm getting tired? No?
That's bit hard.
Nice. My arm always gets tired holding up signs like this. So we have a pretty good group out here today. It's Saturday, and we just had our weekly Saturday morning meetup in the Right Center. A lot of people came after that for the protest, so it's a great turnout. If you're in the Bay Area and you want to hear about these events, then please go to dxc.io/events, which takes you to the events tab on our website, and it lists upcoming protests and the weekly Saturday morning meetups. And all the events that we have going on, including the really big ones coming up, like the Animal Liberation Conference, which is our big flagship conference that only happens once a year, and it didn't even happen last year. So we're back in full swing, and it's going to be big this June, right here in Berkeley, June 9th to 14th. We already have hundreds of people registered, and we are expecting a lot more people to register. Maybe you'll be one of them. So go to liberationconference.com to learn more about that and to register for the ALC, or the Animal Liberation Conference. And join us out here at one of these events. There are protests at Golden Gate Field every time a horse dies. Those are obviously planned with short notice because we don't know when a horse is going to die. But it continues consistently, very regularly. We planned this protest after a horse died in February, who was named Big Laugh by the industry and was renamed as a day by DXC activists. And then just yesterday, while we already had this protest planned, another horse was banned off, who was named Ultimate Diva, and who has been renamed Queen. So we're honoring Azaday and Queen, who are the third and fourth horses to die this year at Golden Gate Fields. 15 horses died at Golden Gate Fields in 2022. And at the end of the year, last year, we renamed all of those 15 horses with new names. That was our first time renaming them, giving them new names. It's a tradition we're continuing now.
Add one other element to everything that's going on here at Golden Gate Field, and that is the response of the owners and the management here at this track, which is that when these horses die, and when we protest, and when we expose them, instead of trying to do something to make the situation better, they hired some of the most expensive attorneys in the Bay Area to sue us, to sue our organization, and to sue activists who protested on the track. And what they asked for initially from us is that they didn't want us to protest anywhere on any track that they owned, not even on public property. And that just goes to show you what their number one motivation is, which is to make sure that nobody knows what is going on at Golden Gate Field. The people that own this track, the Stronarchs, are literal billionaires. They have $1 billion, so it's not like they care that much whether they lost a couple $1,000s on a race or not. They are trying to silence us, to bankrupt us, and to make sure that we stop protesting. So they are spending easily over $100,000 so far trying to sue people for simply raising awareness about what is going on, because they do not want people to know. They do not want people to know that horses die here on average almost every 2 weeks. And they are do so in horrific ways. Just yesterday, during a race, which is again happening right now, so for all we know, a horse could be dying on the track right now. Just yesterday, after winning a race, got injured, and according to initial reports, was quote-unquote euthanized on the track. And what I think that means is that they were shot in the head. However, shortly after they released that, they updated the report to say the horse was banned off. Now, I don't know which one is true, but it sure looks like to me that Golden Gate Fields is trying to cover up their tracks. Because I think if people in Berkeley and Albany and the surrounding areas knew that horses spent 23 hours of every single day inside a stall here, classified as a factory farm, only to be let out for an hour to race around the track against their consent, and when they hurt themselves, they are shot in the head and sometimes just banned off to be killed off-site. Or, as other people mentioned, if they don't live up to expectations, they may be shipped to Canada or Mexico to be slaughtered for their flesh. This is a horrific situation, and I think most people have compassion in their hearts, and they do not want to see this happen. And that is why Golden Gate Fields is so set on making sure that we stop protesting and to silence us. That is not going to happen, because we are going to be here every single time a horse gets killed. Because it's not entertainment.
It's violence.
It's not entertainment.
It's violence.
It's not a sport.
It's violence.
It's not family fun.
It's violence.
Horses feel pain.
Just like us.
Horses want to live.
Just like us.
Horses deserve respect.
Just like us.
Horses want to be free.
Just like us.
Shut down.
Golden Gate Fields.
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 It's not entertainment.
It's violence.
It's not family fun.
Thank you so
It's
much for
violence.
joining us today, everybody, and for sharing their lives today, for sharing and commenting and helping us reach more people. We are out here very regularly at Golden Gate Fields because, sadly, horses are dying very regularly here. It's not surprising. It's sad. It's tragic, but it's not surprising because everything about this industry is putting these horses at risk. The way that they are forced to run, whatever the conditions are, rain or shine, the diets that they're fed, which prioritize energy efficiency for running so much, which are high starch diets, not diets that prioritize their health or well-being. The way that they are confined inside in a CAFO environment for 23 hours of the day, like Almira said, when they're not running. The fact that they are broken, literally broken in to the training environment and the regular running environment when they are just babies, when they're just children at 2 years old, before their bones are fully developed, they're being forced to run unnaturally, fast in an unnatural circular racing track, and everything about this industry is incredibly unnatural. So don't let people tell you otherwise, that it's natural to subjugate other species and to force them to race for us to make money. That's not natural. There's nothing natural about that. So thank you for sharing the live stream. If you haven't, please share it. Thank you for commenting. If you haven't signed the petition, there's a petition at dxe.io/shutdownggf, short for Golden Gate Fields, and that's our petition calling on the cities of Berkeley and Albany to finally do what needs to be done and shut down this racetrack. Unfortunately, horse racing is protected in the California Constitution, so it's one of these things that means, that it's one of these things that cities, smaller local municipalities can't just outright ban. They can't just say horse racing is illegal within the borders of Berkeley City. But there's other ways to shut down this racetrack. There's environmental damage happening here at Golden Gate Fields. There's obviously many, many deaths. There's violence happening here. This facility also is responsible for a massive COVID-19 outbreak. So there's so many reasons that the city could be suspending the license of Golden Gate Fields, and we need to see them working harder to make that happen. Fortunately, there are residents of Albany and residents of Berkeley who are meeting with city council members and working on that. It's not just us. As you see, people just honked as they drove by. There's a lot of people in these cities who are supportive of shutting down Golden Gate Fields horse racing track. There's a lot of people who read the news articles that come out every time horses are dying here and feel outraged that this is happening in their backyard. And there's a lot of people advocating for more housing and advocating for permanent supportive housing specifically, and other things that this land could be used for if it wasn't being wasted to race horses to death. More people honking. So, there's a lot of support. It's not just us, even though we're pretty awesome. Being out here protesting regularly certainly annoys Golden Gate Fields. But there are a lot of people who are supportive of shutting this place down, and a lot of people who have taken leaflets today from Curtis and from others doing outreach. And so they might sign the petition, they might add their voices. Hopefully you will too. Hopefully you have learned something today and you'll share this live stream and help us reach more people. Horse racing is just one of many violent, exploitative, animal abusing industries that needs to go, but it's one that will probably go before certain others because a lot of people love horses. A lot of people are not involved in horse racing or animal gambling, and so they can understand why that industry is out of date versus feeling personally attached to it because it's something that they support and something that they, do in their daily lives. So I'm optimistic that our time out here will sooner than later lead to the shutting down of Golden Gate Fields horse racing track and hopefully the end of horse racing in California and then beyond. We've already banned fur farming and fur sales in the state of California. I would love for horse racing to be banned in the state of California as well, and for these horses to be sent to sanctuary where they would be treated with care, given proper medical care, and treated with love and recognized as individuals. And hopefully that sort of change would lead to changing other industries as well. Hopefully it would be a stepping stone to helping other animals beyond horses. I'm going to go down here where Susie's speaking so you can hear.
Right, yeah. If everybody wants to start walking towards the corner so we can take a group picture and bring the placards to the front as well.
So we're going to do a group photo now in front of the Golden Gate Fields sign here. It says Golden Gate Fields where the bay comes to play, but these horses are not playing. They are suffering and they are dying, and there's nothing fun or funny about that. And this horse who died recently, who was named Big Laugh, is a perfect example of how this industry finds it funny to do things that the rest of us find horrific, to abuse animals, to reduce them to objects, to reduce them to the amount of money that they can make their trainers and their owners, and to call them silly names as well, to do everything they can to take away their individual personhood and to reduce them to property. And so even though it's a little thing that we're doing by renaming them, it's really symbolic of the kind of transformation that we're trying to make. We're renaming them as individuals, we're honoring them as individuals when they die, which no one else is doing, the track is not doing. They're trying to sweep their deaths under the rug and keep them hidden from the public as much as possible. So just by renaming them and honoring them, we're really showing the public, the media, the facility, the owners of this facility, that those horses aren't property. They were individuals all along. They had individual wants. They had the desire to live and to be free, just like we do as humans, just like dogs and cats and bunnies and other animals do, just like chickens and cows and other animals in factory farms do. They want to be free. They want to live their best life. And in factory farms and animal experimentation facilities, in horse racing tracks, just like here at Golden Gate Fields, they're deprived of that. They're reduced to objects, whether they're slaughtered for human consumption or they're slaughtered, aka what the industry calls euthanized, for sustaining an ankle injury and being unable to continue to perform in these races. They have been reduced to objects. And so it's really powerful, I think, that we rename them, that we recognize them as individuals. We don't reduce them to objects, but we recognize them for who they are. So it's been a great protest, a great turnout today. We're getting our group photo and video here, and then we're going to wrap things up. Let me know if anyone has any questions before I end the live stream. Not seeing any questions.
I'll go grab my car.
Yes. Alright, well then I'm going to wrap up the live stream one more time. Please share, comment, whatever you can. Sign the petition at dxe.io/shutdowngGF. Share that petition with your friends and family, especially if you live in the East Bay. But wherever you live, you can sign it. It's good for these cities to know that people all around the world are watching them and putting hope and pressure on them to lead the way and to shut this place down for these horses and for the future, because I think Berkeley and Albany leading the way could really set an example for places all over the US and all over the world to follow. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and for helping. And if you are in the Bay Area, come out to an event sometime soon or join us in Merced next week for the Foster Farms rescue trial for Alicia and Alexandra, who rescued Jax and Ethan, 2 sick chickens from Foster Farms. I'll be out there for the trial starting on Tuesday, and I hope to see a lot of you there. Peace, everybody. Bye.